I know there's about 9,700 kiddos in foster care in Arizona. There's only about 2,900 licensed foster homes.
Wow.
So where are the rest of those kids at, right? They're in group homes, which is not ideal. They need to be in a family-like setting. So the need is huge. There is a crisis for sure.
This is The Real Deal, where real estate meets real life. Whether you're a seasoned real estate expert, a first-time home buyer, or if you're simply passionate about hearing small business stories, this is the podcast for you. Join us as we dive deep into the world of real estate and beyond.
Well, welcome to episode 31 of The Real Deal. I am your host, Janine Igliani, with my co-host today, Ryan Hatcher. And our guest today is Amie Perez. Amie is my sister, but she's also a really cool person and has a lot of information that she's going to share with us all about her story, but also fostering. There is such a need, and I'll let her talk more about that, but I'm so excited. So thanks for being here, Amie.
You bet.
This will be fun. So before we jump in, just tell us about yourself. Tell us about, obviously I know everything about you. But our audience doesn't. Mm-hmm. So tell us about where you grew up and then where you went to school, and kind of bring us up to current day.
Oh, wow. Okay. I am married to Victor. He is a police officer and he's also a chaplain in the Army National Guard. We've been married 21 years. And we have 3 kids. We have a 17-year-old who's going to be graduating this year. We have a 15-year-old and an 11-year-old. We moved here from California when Victoria, my oldest, was about 6 months old. We followed you out here. So we love it here. We love Arizona. A little bit about me. I have a master's degree in clinical psychology. I was going to be a therapist in California, but then we moved and I didn't want to get licensed out here in Arizona. So I never really used that aspect of my degree. And I taught at GCU for about 11 years, and now I am in the foster care world. I license foster families. I'm their ongoing worker. I make sure they're following all the rules, and I'm really just their biggest advocate and support because foster care is really hard.
Yeah. So really quick, go back to college. Like, what made you decide to go into that field, and what did that process look like? You can be honest.
Growing up,
You can be honest.
Okay, I thought my mom maybe had some mental stuff going on, and it piqued my interest. And so I think I had a little bit of trauma growing up, and so I wanted to learn more about that and maybe help others that have had similar situations. So got my bachelor's in psychology and learned a lot and wanted to know more. So
did you love it when you were in college? Like, oh, this is so exciting.
Yeah, I loved it. The content was, exactly what I was hoping for. Super interesting to learn about people and why they behave the way they do and how it impacts their parenting. And you can change a child's life if you're healthy or unhealthy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you got your bachelor's, then why did you decide to go on? Was it because you had to, if you wanted to work in that field, or?
Yeah. You can't be a therapist without a master's degree. I also had a husband that was highly motivated for schooling and, was always in school. And I was like, well, I guess I might as well go to school. He's in school. So that was it too.
Nice.
We actually just closed on a listing, and the people that were selling the home, they had pictures up all over the place of kids, and they had fostered 164 kids in basically 40 years.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so we definitely want to know more about the need and what you're seeing. So please share with us that stuff.
So I know there's about 9,700 kiddos in foster care in Arizona. There is a crisis for sure. There's only about 2,900 licensed foster homes.
Wow.
So where are the rest of those kids at, right? They're in group homes, which is not ideal. They need to be in a family-like setting. So the need is huge.
Can you tell us, Amie, how does a kid get into the foster care system?
Neglect or abuse. Police are getting involved. So DCS steps in and they take custody of the child, and while the parents are getting healthy, they might need drug rehab. They might need to get out of a domestic violence situation. Sometimes there's mental stuff going on. So lots of different reasons.
That's tragic. Before we go into all of that, I think it'd be really interesting to hear your story, because you guys fostered 2 boys, if I remember correctly, right? So tell us about that. Why did you do that? And then,
I've always had a heart for hurting children. It's always been in the back of my mind to do foster care or adoption. So we had 3 children, and I thought, I think I could handle 1 more. So Victor's was always on board. So we decided to do foster care. And
can you tell us, because that's another piece, is it's not like you can just decide and then just go say, hey, okay, I'm ready, I want to foster. There's like a really involved process. What does that process look like if you want to be a foster parent?
If you want to be a foster parent, you have to be 21 years old. You have to pass a background check. You have to get a level 1 fingerprint clearance card. Finances have to be somewhat stable, so you're not relying on, state support. You have to have a bed for the child. They don't necessarily need their own room. It depends on age and gender, and there's different rules about all of that. So the process is about 3 to 4 months to get licensed. It's a lot of paperwork. It's about 5 weeks of training right now with lots of online modules in between. And you need references. You need people to vouch for your character.
If someone wants to do this, where can they go to start that process?
Go to the Department of Child Safety website, DCS, and click on foster care, and you'll go to an orientation. It's, I don't know, maybe a couple hours or an hour. And if it piques your interest, if you're like, yeah, I think I can do this, then they'll refer you to an agency. They'll give you a list of the agencies in Arizona. You pick an agency that fits you, and then you get licensed through that agency.
Okay, so you had this thought, okay, I think we can do this. Your husband's on board, and then what's next?
Well, we went through the process. It's a lot. You have to give them basically everything. Birth certificates, immunization records, everything. It's very invasive. So we get licensed, and you want to know about the kiddos we had?
Yeah, let's go into it. How quickly, well, by the way, from the time you got licensed till your first...
we got a call. There was a little baby in the hospital, and we said yes, and they dropped him off to us, and it was pretty life-changing.
You better get some diapers and formula then, huh?
Yeah, they
kind of thing.
gave us the hospital gave us a little bit of diapers, formula.
So this was a newborn.
It was a newborn,
Wow.
a couple days old. Yeah, that was really emotional, because I was like, gosh, where's his mom? He should be with his mom. So we had him for 6 weeks, and it was just really emotional. You love this child. You start to feel like mom, but you know that you're not. And he started going on visits pretty soon with his mom. And that was difficult, because you have a stranger coming to the house, picking up your baby, feels like your baby, and he would cry in the car. And so that was hard, but it was good for him to see his mom.
See, I have a hard time even the idea of having a dog, because I know that someday I'm going to have to live without that dog, and that would be super hard, especially for my kids. I can't even imagine doing that with a baby. So walk us through that, like the emotions you're talking about. You're having this baby here for 6 weeks, and then all of a sudden they're gone forever, right? Mm-hmm. So
I think your mindset is different going into it. You know that it's not your child, and you know that he could potentially not be with you forever. So your frame of mind thinking is just totally different.
Because they tell you the goal, right, is reunification, is to get that child back with its biological parents.
Always. Yeah, you got to go into foster care with that as the end goal, or else it's really going to be even extra hard.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, what if you wanted to make that baby yours forever?
You have zero control over that.
Okay.
I mean, I think a lot of families are open to adoption, which is why they get into foster care, but you can't be dead set on adoption, or else it's just not healthy for the child. You're not going to be able to do the shared parenting where you're essentially kind of helping raise this child with their parents. It's a team effort, really.
Are most of the biological parents wanting to get their child back at some point?
Yeah, I think most all do, even if they're really struggling with addiction. It's your heart, your child is out in another home. And
That's good. I mean, I'm glad to hear that actually, that they want to get them back.
Yeah.
So you had him for 6 weeks. He went back to his birth mom.
Nope. He went to another foster family that had his older sister. Yeah. And it was instantaneous. They called us and they said, tomorrow we're picking him up. And I was like, what? No preparation, no warning. So that was an emotional roller coaster.
Wow.
Do you know anything about him? How's he doing? No.
Nothing.
Okay. So then what happens after that? So you had him for 6 weeks.
So we got him on this great sleeping routine. I'm all about routine with my babies. And so I was finally sleeping more and it was great. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do that again. It's exhausting having a newborn, right? So we decided to go a little bit older. We took a 6-month-old. And I mean, that was easier in other ways because you're sleeping well, but harder in other ways because he cried a lot and he wouldn't let me put him down. And I was a mom with 3 other children, young children. And I felt very pulled, like I'm not caring for my own kids, but I wanted to take care of him. So that was really hard for different reasons.
When you get the child, do you know the background and know what's happening?
No.
You know nothing about them or their situation, really?
Not really. I mean, they're just pulled from a bad situation, and so they don't know much.
And you can tell, though, that they have trauma even at that age?
For sure. You can, you'll have babies, their teeth are rotting because the bottle has just been left in their mouth, even bruises or hair pulled out, sure. Or just, various different things. As they get older, it's even more obvious.
Yeah, because they can communicate.
Yeah.
So how long did you have him?
We disrupted that one. So a disruption is when you say, I can't do this anymore. This is not working. This is not jiving with my family, which is frowned upon because it's not good for the kid. But we did disrupt because I felt like it was too hard for me and for my kids. We didn't have him very long. Then we did provide respite. So respite is a good option too. If you don't want to take a kiddo into your home full time, you want to help other foster families.
Like just get a break?
It's like a babysitter. Yeah, you get a break. So we did respite for a 3-year-old. That was also really hard. When we would take him out, he wouldn't obey. He was very disrespectful. And I remember he just refused to walk. And I was like, I don't know how to handle this. If this was my kid, I would do it differently. So we did respite for him, and that was hard. And then I decided, I think foster care is not for me. It's really hard. So we closed our license. And then I thought, if I can't be a foster mom, I could at least work in foster care. And I love it. I've been doing that for 7 years.
So before we jump into that, Amie, there's a lot of people that are probably similar to you that just think, I don't think I have what it takes to be a foster parent, to do that in and out with a kid in our home that's coming from traumatic situations, that needs a lot of care. What are some other things that people can do to help support foster families or whatever? What can they do if they want to help, but they can't take a kid in their home?
I mean, I guarantee you, anybody listening to this, they know somebody that's doing foster care in your neighborhood, at your church. So seek them out and offer to help, like bring them a meal, offer to babysit, just give them a break, anything. Ask them how you can help because it's really hard. So that would be the first way. I think another like really tangible, direct way is you could be a CASA. You could help in the court system and advocate for children. A CASA is a court-appointed special advocate, and that's totally volunteer-based, but they need more CASAs.
What do you do as a CASA?
You attend court, and you really are just like representing the child and making sure that the child's best interests are represented, essentially. You hang out with the child, so direct access, and it's really... it's hard when you have like a 3-year-old and they have a lawyer, but the 3-year-old can't necessarily express to the lawyer what they want. So it's nice to have a CASA that can just kind of walk alongside and be with that child. You could be a mentor. A lot of different agencies will let you mentor foster children. There's lots of ways to be involved than just doing foster care.
You can help with diapers, right? And formula if a family needs that. So financially you can help. That's awesome. Okay, so Now tell us what you do.
So I license foster families. I take them through that process. And then once they're licensed, I'm their ongoing worker. So I'm in their home every month, every quarter. I'm inspecting their home, making sure all their medicine and chemicals are locked up and just that they're following all of the rules. I'm making sure they're doing all the paperwork they're supposed to, writing incident reports, keeping track of the kids' medication and their visits. So kind of just making sure they're following all the rules. And then in addition to that, just being their support and their advocate. I go to court with them. I attend CFTs, child family team meetings. I am just advocating for them. And I'm in a Christian agency, so I pray with them and check in on them.
This is a full-time position.
I work 30 hours a week, but yeah, full time.
How many kids are you responsible for?
Right now, my load is very light. There's not a lot of East Valley families. So I have, I believe, 10 or 11 families right now with like 9 or so children on my load. So
you said there's 97 kids,
9,700,
sorry, that are in need, and only how many foster families?
2,900 licensed foster homes.
Okay, so a third basically,
Yeah.
not even. Wow.
Yeah. And about 50% of those are school-age children. A lot of people just want to foster babies because you're not getting all those behaviors, but those older kids really need homes too.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. What are some qualities of if you're thinking of being a foster family, what are some qualities that you would say you need to possess?
Wow. Yeah. Patience, endurance, nurturing, loving, super, super loving, structure. You got to be structured with these kiddos. You do need to have time to go to appointments, to do phone calls. You have to be diligent with paperwork. But I think flexible is probably the biggest one. You really need to be flexible because you have no control over what happens to these kids. People are in and out of your home. You just need to go with the flow and not have a certain thing on your mind, like this will happen or this needs to happen. Just love the kids. Your only job is really to love the kids, and whatever happens, happens. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's great. So let's talk about, because obviously you've been doing this for a little while and you've seen a lot of families, and I'm sure there's tons of heartbreak, but I'm sure there's some really great stories too. So can you share with us one of those that stands out?
One story?
Or if you have a few.
It's always beautiful when you see families get their kids back and get healthy and get clean. I love those stories. I also love adoptions too. It's heartbreaking because that family is forever separated from their child, but the child's in a loving home. So I love those stories too. I love it when I see a family adopt multiple children, like sibling sets, so you can keep the siblings together. Mm-hmm. So that makes the job worthwhile. I have a family that has 3 teenagers right now, which is really amazing. Teenagers are hard. Mm-hmm. So the oldest one is 18, and so she essentially aged out, but she chose to stay with this family. She is going to college and making something of herself. She's making all the right choices. She's saving money. She calls them her chosen family. Mm-hmm. So she comes home on breaks and that's her family. But she's out in the world and making something of herself.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
And her 2 siblings are still in that house.
These 3 teenagers are not related, actually.
Oh, wow.
So they have, 3 separate kiddos. So they're a pretty amazing family. And they have 2 biological children, so their plates are full. You know, getting haircuts, getting the girls to and from work. It's a lot of taxiing around.
Mm-hmm. What do it's sad. 9,700 kids that are needing homes and to feel like they belong, right? Because at the end of the day, we all want to feel like we belong, right? And it's unfortunate. Thank goodness there's a safe place for them to go to, right? Because they're in that system because where they were was not safe. What are some things that we can do to help bring awareness to the need for these families? Like, how do we get the word out? Like, what do we do? Because I know for me, and you and I have talked about this, I know that I wouldn't be a good foster mom, foster family. It's not
Just your schedule.
right. My schedule, just everything, right? There's so much, but I want to do something, so what do you do? Can I go to these group homes and love on these kids? Like, what do I do?
I would say be a mentor.
Yeah.
Just be a positive influence in that child's life, a steady person. They're going to rotate through DCS workers. They're going to rotate through lawyers. They're going to even rotate through people like me, even foster homes. But just to have one steady person, it makes all the difference. Just to have one person that knows you and that loves you and is there with you through everything. And mentoring is a really like minimal commitment. It's just a couple hours a month. Take them out to lunch, go to their basketball game, something like that.
But I feel like you could do that.
Oh yeah, it'd be so fun.
Right.
I mean, I basically do that with
Yeah.
young men at church, but they're not in foster situations.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that'd
Oh,
be-
you talked
I-
about group homes too.
Yeah.
You can volunteer at group homes. You have to get background checked.
Uh-huh.
You can go set up crafts and you can go cook dinner. Just contact a group home and say, hey, how can I help? There's nurseries too. There's I think it's Hushabye Nursery. You can go rock babies. And
What if I wanted to take a bunch of 15 to 17-year-old boys with me to do that? Is that doable?
I think you probably want to check with the group home.
Okay.
I don't know if you have to be an adult to be in those places,
Okay.
but I think you probably could.
Because that would be pretty cool for them to see too,
Right,
more than
right.
anything really.
Yeah. Well, what didn't we ask you, Amie, that we should have? What didn't we cover that we should have that people need to know?
The need is great. You did cover that, but the need is great. So if you feel an inkling to do it, go to an orientation and just see what it's all about. Spread the word. These children need homes. A lot of the kids that age out don't do well. I think 20% go on to be homeless. So help out in any way you can, even if it's not fostering. Bring a foster family a meal. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you separate the hard stuff that you see and then have to go home and be with your kids and your family? Like, how do you disconnect that? So I think that would be heavy for me to see and be around and know about these things. And then,
I don't know that I do. When I'm home, I'm praying for these kids and I'm thinking about my foster families all the time. I'll send them messages. So I don't know that I really do that very well.
okay. Well, that's heavy. It's kind of a heavy episode, right?
It is.
And I feel
It
like
is, yeah.
but it's because it's so serious, and I'm actually really glad that we did this so that we can hopefully bring awareness and maybe someone will hear this and feel like, hey, that's me. I can totally do that. Or now I know. And so now I know I can go volunteer here or I can give my money this place and just be helpful. So I hope that we've done that. So thanks for sharing.
Thanks for having me.
I want to end on a positive note. Is that okay? Are you good with doing our speed round, our lightning round?
Okay.
Okay, it's rapid fire.
She's like, sure.
Okay, let's do
ready? Favorite food?
Pizza,
Favorite drink?
Diet Coke,
Favorite sound?
fan noise,
Like a white noise? or-
shushing sounds.
Okay. Favorite book?
Love Walked Among Us,
What's that about?
Jesus, and
Okay.
how loving he was.
Oh.
That's cool.
Okay, favorite podcast?
Yours.
Oh, hey. I didn't even have to tell her. Favorite Bible verse?
John 3:16.
Okay. And then last but not least, favorite vacation?
Oh, wow. Jamaica.
Oh, yeah. That was just you. No, you took the kids. Yeah.
We went
yeah.
twice.
But even though wasn't that one of the times that you hurt your back on that trip?
Oh, yeah, that was awful. Yeah. But I hadn't seen my husband in a year and we got to get
That's
away.
right.
So that made it okay.
That's
That
right.
is
When
cool,
he'd come
yeah.
back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Military service.
Yes.
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 Thank you for your service, sir.
For sure. And thank you for supporting him through
Yes.
that. So awesome. Thanks, Amie, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to The Real Deal, where real estate meets real life. Make sure to follow or subscribe to the Home Selling Team on YouTube, Instagram, and Spotify to stay up to date with our podcast.